Thank you for attending this press conference this afternoon. This morning I tabled the PAC report of number 67. We've been delayed by a few months. That this is chapter 1 in relation to maintenance and safety related improvement of public rental housing flats. There was a few months delay because indeed we had a lot of documents to go through. On top of that, there was also information provided by witnesses, and these are crucial to our preparing of the report, because we heavily criticize the housing department and the housing authority. And this covers maintenance, excess lead in water and other fire services installations. Members of the Public Accounts Committee have devoted a lot of time to go through the documents and prepare the report, and I thank my fellow members. It's Mr. Lam who is mainly in charge of this report, and he's sitting to my right. He will answer questions. Perhaps I will ask Mr. Lam to go over the 3 areas of this report. 67A, that is maintenance, water sampling tests for lead, and also asbestos containing materials. Mr. Lam. Thank you. As you all know, that excess water and lead was a significant public incident. The PAC spent a lot of time and summoned witnesses from government departments in the public hearing. Our conclusion is that we express alarm and strong resentment to the attitude and approach of the housing authority, and we find that their approach has been unacceptable, because for the first 7 meetings there were no minutes at all, and we found it extremely difficult to accept the explanation of the senior management of the housing department. On top of excess lead in water or water sampling, there is also the issue of management of asbestos containing materials, because asbestos is harmful to public health. Regrettably, the housing department did not abide by the regulations of the Environmental Protection Department in their management and inspection and monitoring work. As a result, there are materials damaged in public housing estates, and over a long period of time they remain unnoticed. This has posed health hazards to residents and also people working in the area. In relation to housing estate management, and when it comes to laundry pole holders, we found that the housing department's performance is quite poor. The plan to replace laundry pole holders is not effective at all, and in that period of time, a few residents lost their lives because of laundry poles falling from height. The performance of the housing department in this regard is very disappointing. Our primary concern is water sampling tests for lead, but there is also asbestos containing materials, because it is carcinogenic. In old areas where there are asbestos containing materials, it's the duty of the housing department to ensure that tenants, workers and users of the premises will not be subject or exposed to potential hazards of asbestos. And I would like to say here that when it comes to water sampling tests for lead, the government has spent a lot of time on this issue. 7 departments had meetings on the 20th of July 2015. That was confirmed. Within a very short time, they called an interdepartmental meeting. But what shocked us and what we found unacceptable is that over the 7 meetings, none of the 4 government departments has kept any information about meeting notes, agenda, or anything related to these meetings. The department directors, someone so experienced, should not have neglected to do that. So we had to look into whether there was any deliberate concealment. So we had to look through emails and information of 4 government departments. We did not find any information that there was any concealment. So on management and good governance, there was complete neglect, and their attitude is completely unacceptable. They might have been very concerned, but still they had to abide by procedures. We're talking about 750,000 units with a 2.1 million residents. So they did not have in mind what they were supposed to do, and that is simply inexcusable. I'll defer to Paul. For the 7 meetings, the reason why that is so important is because at the very beginning of the excess lead in water, there were 37 watering samples and 3 excluded samples. And the information is very important when we look into the affected housing estates. These are very significant meetings.
We'll now be happy to answer your questions. I'm from Cable TV. I remember that the result of the investigation has been delayed. In theory, you should have announced your findings last time. Could you explain why? Could you also explain to us why the department told you that they didn't have any minutes for the first 7 minutes? The delay on our part was due to the fact that we have to go through a large volume of documents. We didn't just look at the materials from the Housing Authority and the Housing Department. We look at the documents of all 4 departments and all the correspondences and emails and documents in order to find out the facts. So we could not just rely on the information they provided us at the hearing. We also needed to verify the facts and see whether or not there have been any concealment. If there had been any concealment, it would be a major issue, because the excess lead in water indeed affected the health of many people. And that's why we spend a lot of time going through the papers. We need to check carefully and to give a full account to LegCo and the public as to what transpired throughout the whole incident. In this case, we did not find any information to lead us to suspect that that the 4 departments had tried to hide anything during those 7 meetings. While we don't accept that, but we couldn't find an explanation why as a civil servant or a public official, we believe that they should abide by the system of good governance. And if they did not, if they fail to comply, then it's a duty to criticize them. Chairman, in paragraph 96 of our report regarding the Director of Housing, it was at the 8th interdepartmental meeting that he realized that he needed to keep minutes of the meeting. We don't think that we can accept such an explanation. The Director of Housing, we all know, is a very senior administrative officer. In the past, he had chaired many interdepartmental meetings. He himself also admitted that in previous interdepartmental meetings, normally minutes would be kept. all the representatives from other departments, such as the Water Services Department and the government laboratory officials, when they attended such interdepartmental meetings, usually they know that there would be minutes. The Director of Housing, when explaining why there weren't any minutes, said that at the first 7 meetings he was focusing his attention on dealing with the crisis. Only at 8th meeting did he realize that he had to keep minutes. So I asked a follow-up question to the Assistant Director and Deputy Director of Housing. I asked them whether the two of them agreed that since the Director of Housing said that he was the subject officer in charge of handling the crisis, and the director was also responsible for keeping the minutes. So I asked the deputy and the assistant directors, there being the deputies to the director, did they remind the director the need to keep minutes, and they had not. The assistant director said that afterwards he felt that he should have reminded the director to do that. The deputy director, I really regret his reply. He said that he felt that he had already done his part. I think, well, personally, I don't represent the whole committee, but I'm shocked by his answer, because the whole incident has now been reviewed. The director and the housing department had not kept any minutes, and they also admitted that it was a serious problem. But his deputy, the deputy director, in the face of such a serious negligence on the part of the director, said that he had already done his part. The deputy director attended all those 7 minutes. So we have had 3 hearings. There were 2 hearings in December and 1 in January. Yes.
Recommendations, you've called for the replacement of pipes to be expedited, and also for the retesting of water samples. If the department doesn't do that, are they failing in their duty of care towards PRH tenants?
If they don't do that, they will be failing in their duty. But they have agreed to do that, and we are awaiting them to give us a program of how and when they will have this, because we are talking quite a substantial amount of coverage in terms of pipings and things. They have to be given time, and I think they have their priority, and we will be ensuring that the job will be completed when they give us a program. I think what they're now doing is they're doing the common area, and then they have to go inside all the flats. So I think that they're well aware of their duties and well aware of their work, and they will be doing that, we have been assured.
Standard. You said that after going through the emails and correspondence, you have came out with no evidence that the departments involved were trying to cover up something during the first 7 meetings, but can you tell us a bit, did they explain how they went progress in their discussion without minutes or records of the previous discussion? And the second question is that I know that the housing department is responsible for making minutes, but what about other departments? Did they not, take notes or have some documentation of what was discussed during the meetings?
I first answer the question if other members like to talk. I think we asked the same question as you've asked me. Yes. And I think normally what is important that in public hearing, we are like you, we always look for why, what happened, and if what happened, why this happened. And normally under government procedures, everything have a procedure, and everything that, especially when it comes to lead water affecting the health of citizens, the reason why they do it and what follow-up actions must also be minuted, and follow-up action could be followed. Although the meetings, the 7 meetings that they have is between July the 20th and August the 7th. So we're talking of a very short period of time, while appreciating the hard work that they have done conducting the inter-department meetings. However, that doesn't free them from not following the procedures. And this is something that we could not understand as PAC, we want to ensure that all government departments must stick by the code of good governance. And having basis on our search for information, we're going through just not only the emails, all the papers that related to the 7 meetings. And in the finding of facts, we could not put our finger and criticize them that cover-up has been an issue.
But how did they know what they were talking about?
That is why we find it inexcusable. Explanation given was not accepted, and but somehow work have been done by the 4 departments, and thank God that the situation have been arrested. But this doesn't absorb them from any criticism that they have not practiced the procedure of good governance.
They explained that after the meeting they have already taken prompt action to deal with all the cases discovered after the examination. And they held a press conference and announced those findings to the general public. And in fact, we have same question when we conduct the public hearing. And I found the explanation of the Director of Housing Department is very unconvincing. Therefore, I asked all the departments to produce all the correspondence to our committee. And after a thorough checking, I cannot find any evidence to conclude that they have tried to cover up the case.
All the emails,
yes.
Documents that they arrange for, even water trucks and everything is there. Somehow the work is being done, but not minuted.
But I do believe that we have already sent a very clear message to all the public officers that if they fail to record all the important issues after any meetings of the government, they have to pay. And they have already learned a very painful lesson because of our report.
Good. Any question? Hi. Okay. Yeah.
I'm from the Apple Daily. I have a few questions to ask. To start with, how many emails and how much documentations you have looked through? Say, for example, in terms of time spent. And if you find that to be alarming and unacceptable, then do you have to look into who is to be held responsible and who has failed their duty? Because this is a significant public event. And do they have to, given the situation, prepare the minutes of meeting after the event, so that at least an account will be given to the public? There is a principle of PAC report. We look forward. What have we learned from the report? It's not just for the housing department to know, but to all government departments, that they use public money to deliver service to Hong Kong people. They have to abide by all the rules. As Mr. Lam said, we see that they have put their heart into resolving the problem. The 4 departments have spent a lot of time and effort into it. We're talking about a senior official like the Director for Housing. There must be some kind of division of labor, when there should be deliverables. There should be a plan, strategy, and timetable. We don't see any of that. We see that work has been done, but we do not see any cooperation. We have seen division of labor and things being done, and it's upon the 8th meeting that someone realized that something has to be done. It would be meaningless to prepare the minutes now, but as Mr. Lam said, that the lesson has been learned. The PAC comprises members from different political parties. We hope that this will serve as a lesson for departments to realize that they need to change their attitude towards the public, and that they need to improve their services. It's not criticism against a certain person, but it's just that because of the way they handle it, the public has been affected. Luckily, the excess lead in water incident has been resolved. Well, we could have submitted this part of the report with report number 67, but we had to go through a lot of information, so much that I've lost count. But we don't just think about the quantity. We look at the quality as well. We have spent a lot of time and effort to go through the document because we have to stick to the facts. May I add something? The journalist asked if it's feasible to prepare the minutes of the meeting now. Not really, that is my answer, because minutes should be prepared shortly after a meeting. During the hearing, because of the long time lapse, some information could not be recalled. The minute of meeting is very important because information can be put onto paper when memory is still fresh. If you wait till now to prepare the minute, it may not accurately reflect what happened. Chairman? Sorry, no, it's not me. This year is Mr. Kenneth Leung. There is an established procedure of the government about what procedure is to be taken. And as Mr. Sheikh said, we have to look forward. This is a serious incident. The government departments did not follow procedure. They did not ensure transparency. It has aggravated. If it had aggravated the situation, we would have taken a different approach. But failure to do so did not mean that they did not follow up on the situation. We just urged the departments to follow up effectively. And I thank department directors of the 4 departments. We may criticize them, but I need to say that they gave us all the information for us to look into. I thank them, and they have spent a lot of time to answer our questions. Some of the issues are still being followed up on. I have one question. You use words like the director of the housing department failed to, did not fulfill his role. So it's negligence of duty. Since you used the term did not fulfill his role, do you think that the Civil Service Bureau should hold him responsible or do something to follow up? The PAC only sets out the facts and our view. Civil servants will be dealt with in the established procedure. We looked at this from the perspective of good governance, and we thought that he did not do enough. We will leave it to the Civil Service Bureau. We don't have the power to decide how he is to be dealt with. Deputy Chairman, you may be aware that when we issue our reports, there will be a response from the Chief Secretary for Administration in the LegCo, and it shows that the highest level of importance is attached to our report. Our recommendations and criticisms, of course, have to be followed up on. That's the responsibility of the administration. But as the chairman said, we as the PAC do not have the duty to follow up on certain issues or hold government officials responsible. But we have got the attention of the highest echelon of the government, of the administration, and they will make the most appropriate decision. In report number 63 of the Civil Aviation Department about their complex, the government followed up on a report and conducted an inquiry in relation to the civil servant. We set out the facts and our view. We also give our recommendations. We make criticisms. We have given an account to the government. It is also for the government, for the administration to give an account to the public as well. Thank you very much. Yes? I can't hear you. Yes. It was 15th of March when we have gone to the CAD to look at the ATM and the satellite and the satellite navigation. We were satisfied and we had a meeting with them. On the 15th of March, they said that in the previous 3 weeks, their expert report would give them the first report. On the 3rd of April, the expert report was given to us. We've looked into it. The expert report states that so far the system has remained stable. They have gone over Christmas and the Chinese New Year, when the airport was very busy. Nothing significant happened. We accept that. We found that the ATMS can serve Hong Kong in a safe way, and it also enables the airport to run smoothly. However, last week, 2 newspapers made some reports, and the Civil Aviation Department responded. And there would be 2 reports, and we've written to the Civil Aviation Department asking for responses. It's the deputy chairman who's mainly responsible for that. He is an expert of the ATMS.
Let me supplement that on the 15th of March. Other than visiting the CAD, we also held a meeting with the management of the CAD. We asked them about the operation of the ATMS, including its maintenance and repair, and they promised us that they will give us a written reply to all the questions we asked. The chairman mentioned just now that they have published an interim expert report. We are still taking our time to read that report at the moment. We hope that from the report we'll be able to come up with some ideas, and I hope that we will be able to put follow-up questions to the CAD. Thank you very much. You want us to stand up?
Oh.
留影人哋啊！靚仔啊，可能你咪借人哋啲相唔得？炒友做，哇！冇咁怕，失色啊！點人啊？咪借人張相咪得咯。
唔緊要，我哋行多影多10次都唔緊要。幾難得有人肯幫我影相啊！拜拜，唔該晒你。
Thank you very much.
唔該你，唔該，多謝 good work，good work。
個處長俾隻 ultimate prize
啊？啊？你 leave up
民航處處長
我唔夠。